Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Rashida. I am a fourth year PhD candidate at the University of Pennsylvania, the #1 nursing school in the world. And I'm wrapping up my dissertation project during this season and decided to record a series where I speak about some of the struggles that I went through with my dissertation project and still am ongoing, and things that you could do to mitigate those issues. First of all, I'm doing a mixed methods research project. I recommend it just to hone in on both your qual and quant skills and to learn how to integrate data. Of course, as researchers, we know that you should pick the best method for your research question, and there's pros and cons to every method, and I was lucky enough to end up doing a mixed methods research project. In terms of proposing the project and going through that whole process, it definitely was a challenge because there's so many moving pieces to my dissertation study, and I don't want to talk about it too much yet, but basically I'm looking at how factors like discrimination, the built environment, and depression influence the physical activity behaviors of Black men. And I'm doing a 3-paper dissertation, so now some schools have the option, instead of writing a 5-chapter book, you do a 3-article or 3-manuscript dissertation. The intro stays the same, it outlines your whole dissertation. Chapter 1, 2, and 3 are your actual manuscripts, and Chapter 5 is future outlooks. The way that it is at my school is your proposal basically is your dissertation. So I wrote everything except for the results and conclusion and discussion sections of my articles. And then of course I don't have a Chapter 5 yet because I haven't finished the study. So that's how it's structured. It took a long time to come to this idea, and actually the idea for my research project came from grant applications. So I would say if you're early in your PhD journey, I would apply to as many grants as possible, not just because you can obviously get money out of it, but also because it helps you develop your ideas and become a stronger writer. So a win is a win, right? Like there's a chance you might get more funding, which is always a good thing, and then also further developing your skills and laying a foundation for your dissertation study is the best gift you could give your future self. So because I have multiple factors in my dissertation study, I'm looking at 3 main factors, but there could be a number of confounders that influence my study. It was a lot writing it, I'm not gonna lie. Coming up with 3 intros and 3 backgrounds for a dissertation study was also a lot, but I'm glad that I did it now that I'm in the swing of things and starting to look at the data. I am doing a study where I collect my quant data first, and then that helps influence my qual data. So I had surveys that were distributed to the community, and I'm going to use some of that data to develop questions to ask in my focus group interviews. And the recruitment process of my dissertation study has been extremely challenging. So first, let's start out with the fact that at my school, when you're paying participants, you have to ask them for their social security number. For obvious reasons, people aren't going to want to put that in a survey. So basically, I had to get people to tell me that they weren't taking my survey because it was asking for a social security number. And then I used that to make the claim that this requirement is affecting my recruitment process. So if you run into any school policies that are negatively impacting your ability to get participants for your study, you can let them know that and see if they can make some amendments for you. So what they did for me is they said, okay, no social security numbers, but you have to get their names and their addresses for tax purposes. Okay, perfect. So then I opened my survey again, and it's available online. My biggest mistake was posting it to Facebook. Facebook is amazing when it comes to getting traffic on your content. It's been great when it comes to my YouTube content and things like that. But there is a lot of people on Facebook, like all types of people, and someone decided between the hours of 2 and 6 a.m. to take my survey over 50 times. How did I know it was one person? Well, I emailed every single participant that took it that night, and only one person replied. I set up a meeting with them, and I literally can't make this up. They were in a cement room, and they had like a tiny window up above their head. They were literally in Nigeria. I'm like, and I don't know if they were like messing with me, but I asked them if they were in prison. They said yes. But so a man in prison in Nigeria took my survey over 50 times. And at that point, I was like, well, unfortunately, this survey is for men who live in Philadelphia. And then I just hung up. And I was so frustrated because I needed 100 Black millennial age men that live in Philadelphia to take my survey. And I wake up to over 50 participants, and none of them fit the criteria of my study. So then I decided to take the survey link offline, which slowed down my recruitment. And I live in Northern Virginia, so I had to drive to Philly and walk around basically like an evangelist in the street with my flyers, trying to get people to take my survey. And I was walking around everywhere from Fancy Delancey Street down to Broad and Erie. Like, I was literally all over Philly on college campuses, talking to people. And then finally someone told me to go to the LA Fitness in Kenwood. Shout out to that staff, because probably like half of my participants are from that gym. In one night, I think I got over 30 participants. Granted, I would say more than half of the people who took my survey were from that gym, but some of them didn't fit the criteria. Either they were too old, too young, or they didn't live in the city of Philadelphia. But the people who actually made it into my study, more than half of them probably go to that gym or know someone who went to that gym because they were spreading around to their friends. So I'm so thankful for them. And then also the YMCA in North Philly, right by Temple, I got quite a few participants that go there. And then the rest were really people I met on the street. Shout out to you if I met you outside somewhere and you're watching this, and people who found my survey online. So recruitment has definitely been a challenge. I expected it to be, because millennials are difficult to recruit. Even myself, people have sent me their surveys and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do it. And time just passes and I literally just forget sometimes. And now it's giving me a new perspective on that. Now if you send me a survey and I say I'm gonna do it right then and there, because I know how it feels to be the person to ask to have someone take your survey and them not take it. And I'm also paying. I was paying $25 for the survey and then $100 for interviews, which I'll speak about at a later time because I'm using an innovative method called photo voice. So I want to give that the attention it deserves. But just wanted to give this little mini update plus recruitment tips on how to get people to take your survey but also protect your data. So the first tip that I have is put something on your survey that makes sure that people can't take if they're a bot. So the I'm not a robot thing, I think it's called a CAPTCHA function. Make sure that your survey has that. Also, I used RedCap, and RedCap has that function. I don't think Qualtrics does. So I know somebody else, their survey was taken by bots and they had it on Qualtrics, so then they end up taking their survey off Qualtrics and putting on Red Cap so that they can have that protection. My second tip is to get to know the community, meet community leaders. I met so many people who ran running groups and workout groups, and they were able to share my survey with their community or take it themselves. So shout out to y'all, thank you so much. Go to places where your participants go and build relationships with the staff. People thought I worked at that LA Fitness in Vala Kenwood because I got pretty close with the staff. I have their numbers, I spoke to them even when I wasn't there, and I really am so thankful for them. The third tip is I would suggest not even having your survey available online sitting by itself. And by that, what I mean is the flyer that I had online just had my email, so it said contact me if you want to participate. And I was also reaching out to people online too, like on social media. I was DMing people, asking them if they wanted to take my survey, and if they agreed to, then I would send them a link. If I didn't know them, I would send them a unique link that would deactivate in an hour, just because I didn't want them to keep taking it and to compromise my data. Fourth tip that I have is when you're out in the community and inviting people to take your survey, try to get them to take it right then and there, or at least start it. That way, if they at least put their name and contact information in the survey and submit that, you can reach out to them if they don't finish it and ask them to finish it. My fifth tip is to reach out to community organizations, including fraternities and sororities, and present to them. I was trading off, so I would say I can do a presentation on race and health, Black men and health, health equity, cardiovascular health. I just sent them a long list of topics that I felt comfortable presenting on that were relevant to their organization, and told them that as a trade-off, if they would invite other people to take the survey, I would greatly appreciate it. So I ended up presenting to a chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and it was a grad chapter, and they were meeting on Temple's campus, and I did a presentation for them there, and I was able to get a couple of participants through that as well. And my last tip for today in terms of recruitment is just be patient, give yourself grace. I was paying people and it was still a little bit of a struggle for me. I think there's a lot of mistrust in general. I mean, I was hacked by someone who was trying to scam me, and then I went out in the street trying to recruit people and they were like, are you trying to scam me? You know, so I think because I was paying and I was very generous with the amount that I was paying, because Philadelphia, University of Pennsylvania owes Black people. If you know the history of Pennsylvania, Penn and Drexel sit on what was previously called Black Bottom. So in order for those schools to even be in that space, they basically had to bulldoze down Black people's homes and push them out of their homes and their neighborhoods. So I believe in reparations, and I believe in distributing reparations as money, monetary benefits in any way that we can. So this was just part of that, to be honest. And just, if you believe in social justice, you shouldn't be paying a minoritized community or individual very little to partake in my research project. I think that that's not, if I'm calling myself a health equity researcher, I shouldn't be exploiting minoritized populations or trying to shortchange them. It's one thing if you don't have the grant money, but I did, so that's the other thing. If you don't have the grant money, give yourself grace and be even more patient, because it is harder to recruit when you don't have an incentive, but you're gonna make it, you're gonna do it, I promise. But I'll keep you guys updated through this, but I definitely wanted to share some of my recruitment journey and some tips that I have, and as I continue doing this project, I'll be dropping more tips and gems along the way. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you next time.